everybody, this is Charis. I'm outside at the pool at our hotel in New Orleans, and the weather's beautiful today. It's all warm and balmy, and I love the way it feels. It's like 7:30 in the morning right now, which is fabulous to be outside so early. In California, it's not warm enough to do this that early in the morning. So anyway, let's see. The thing that I want to talk to you about today is on twin flames for lightworker women. This is a weird subject, and a lot of people have asked me to write about twin flames, both because they saw how I was with my husband, and also now that the relationship has gotten, undefined, and it has for a lot of people. A lot of people have been going through this really weird time right now, and I've been noticing these really interesting patterns, especially for women, and I can speak more to the women's perspective than the men's, because lightworker men do exist. They are out there, but what I've found, and this isn't just in my own experience, this is both from talking to them and also from observing other people's experience, is that the divine feminine is coming back, and especially men who are okay with the feminine. At this point, things are really in flux and transition, and it's hard to really define stuff, and a lot of people really don't know how they feel as far as men go. But that is neither here nor there, because there still exists lots who do know how they feel, and lots who are ready for relationships, since we're talking about the twin flame thing. And first of all, what is the twin flame? Well, actually, it's the kind of the new age soulmate. It's someone who your souls are matching, and they intertwine in this specific way. But the problem with new age soulmates or twin flames is that, like many fairy tales, the idea of twin flame has kind of gotten co-opted and said, oh, well, once you meet your twin flame, then everything's wonderful. When that's not true at all. Often things get harder once you meet your twin flame, because they serve as a mirror for you. And since your energy field always works as a key and a lock, which is why certain people are your friends and other people are your best friends, and certain people are people you can date and other people are people that you really love, and you might not always be able to explain exactly why. In fact, a lot of times you probably can't. A lot of times it's like, well, on paper it may or may not seem to make sense, but when I'm there, it either does or doesn't, and it does not usually match the paper. So what that's doing is that your energy field, by its open spots, closed spots, blocks, holes, and also the places that are really healthy, match other people's. And so whenever you make really good friends with anyone, or you start dating someone you feel very connected with, you can be absolutely positive that issues are going to come up that exactly match what it is that you're trying to learn on a deeper level. So whenever you have a friend who really drives you nuts because of something that they do, that you can see that they're doing it but they can't see it, you're doing it too. Probably in a slightly different arena, or else you would recognize it, but it wouldn't even come across your consciousness if the universe weren't trying to show you something that you can adjust and heal within yourself. So that's the first part of it, and that's also what makes it difficult to just say, oh, well, this person was just a jerk, especially after a breakup. And I know a lot of people are going through breakups right now. And again, you did manifest the situation. So it's something to think of, well, why did I manifest this? What is it that I'm trying to learn here? Also, because if you leave a situation, then if you don't heal it before you bring in another one, then you're going to have to go through the same stuff again, which is why rebounds don't often work. There are exceptions, of course, but usually you're going to bring up just the same type of relationship, because your energy field is going to attract the same matching energy field from someone else. And the pattern with lightworker women especially is that, and by lightworker I mean someone who's a healer, and not necessarily like hands-on or an energy healer or a doctor, but someone who loves taking care of others, loves making others feel better, loves loving, and not just in a romantic way, but in all ways. The problem with light workers in this generation, and by generation I'm spanning a lot of years here, is, that's a really strong wind. Ooh, I wonder if you guys can hear me over that wind. Anyway, is that a lot of times we measure our worth by how much we're working and how much we can heal and how much we can help. But that also means that we constantly have to manifest people in our lives that need to be healed by us. And while that's important if it comes across your plate, it's also kind of missing the point of trying to create paradise, to constantly be needing to know how well you're doing by who you're helping, because that means that you constantly need to manifest people who are sick in one way or another. So that's the first thing to think about. And the second is that a lot of times, especially light worker women, especially women who are trying to do the ascension thing, the evolution thing, who are trying to keep their minds, bodies, spirits really, really healthy, who are trying to stay high vibrational, a lot of times when we're single, we're great and we're doing good. And there are exceptions. There are some people who are totally miserable being single and really want a relationship, and right there that should tip you off that you probably shouldn't have one yet until you are genuinely happy being single, because as soon as you fall in love with someone, you're going to start to drink their energy, which is not good for them or for you. Anyway, once you get into a relationship and once you fall in love with someone, often every single lack feeling you have about yourself arises, and that person will reflect back to you every single issue you need to heal, and they'll usually reflect it to you by triggering you. So say a huge one in light workers, especially young women who are light workers right now, is needing to feel loved and worthy, and needing to have someone say you're wonderful and I think you're great and da 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 da. And the problem there is, if you need someone external to say it, which many of us do as far as our development goes, you're probably going to attract someone who won't say it for very long, who will say it at first, and then he'll stop and he'll start devaluing you, because there's a spot in your energy field that's lacking there, that's like a depression. And I don't mean depression like sadness or clinical disorder. I mean depression like a hole, like a hollow. And so the only one who you could fit that would fill that hollow on an energy level is someone who's gonna reflect that to you, someone who's gonna make you feel devalued. And so the key, if you're in a relationship, it's a little bit harder, because if you're not in a relationship, you can manifest something different by healing yourself. And technically in a relationship, you can do the same thing, but it's a little bit more difficult because you're dealing with someone who's already there. So the key is just to be super duper aware of what you're doing and what your role in all the conversations you're having and all the interactions you're having with this person is. So just keep that in mind, and what you want to do is know within yourself that you're worthy and that you're loved, and that my friend Mark Brady always says, every single one of us is as worthy as anyone else on the planet of love. So the most lovable person you can think of that exists, you're as worthy of love as that person. There's no difference between you. So that's something that's more cognitive than feeling, but you have to work it down into your heart eventually if you want to have a true healthy twin flame relationship, because the goal is to be super healthy yourself, super happy yourself, and figure out how to not need the relationship to define you, not need the relationship to give you your defining work in life, but rather to enjoy your life and then have the relationship be an added sweetness, an added flavor to your life rather than the meat of it. Because, well, coming from vegetarian, because there was a lot of time where people had relationships as their mainstay in their life. You know, you used to not really be able to survive very well without getting married, but now it's not really like that anymore. And now, especially for light workers, many of our jobs are more important than just being a husband or wife or mother or father. All those things are super important, they're part of the job, but a lot of times nowadays, if you try to narrow it down to just doing that, then you actually will be very unhappy and things will stop going your way because there's more that you're supposed to be doing. So if you start finding yourself being locked into those roles and then things going downhill, that's why you're needing to branch out and do other things and not only tie up all your energies in the role as lover or parent. And that also goes for the person that you're loving or parenting. They need to have more to feed them than just you. So that is a hard thing to do when you love someone, especially because healthy love has not really been modeled very much for us in our culture. So we're all kind of starting from scratch here. And it's something to be really gentle with yourself about and have the best intentions and do the best thing you can to get there. But before you're there, just know that it's getting better and that you're doing your best and that you are going to be as happy as you possibly can be at every moment. And that especially goes for the initial stages of love, the initial stages of crush, where you want to be with the person all the time. It's really, really important to keep definitely authentically enjoying your life when you're not with them, because that kind of goes back to the same thing. If the only way you can enjoy life is when you're with that person, then you're going to become root bound with them, like a plant in a pot gets really root bound, and then you have to kind of get it out of the pot and stretch out its roots and plant it in a larger area. You don't want that to happen with you, because it will start to drain your life force, and you'll get connected in too many ways, because people are supposed to have relationship between them and not be completely locked in just to each other, with some exceptions. But generally, I mean 99 times out of 100, maybe even more than that, you're not going to want to do that, because it's not where we are right now in our evolution. We're trying to become whole beings that complement each other, not two halves of a whole, because in that case you're each only half of a person. You need the other person to define you, which then again goes back to needing something external to define you. And so the universe says, okay, well, we're just going to keep that going then. If that's what you want, and if that's what you're acting like you want, then we're going to leave it for you. And so I'm assuming that the men do this too, but mostly for you women, we're in such a weird time right now because our culture tells us to be all empowered and great, and then the only models we have for love, for soulmates, for twin flames, is kind of helpless and ridiculous. So finding our unique ways to both be completely self-sufficient emotionally and spiritually, and also really love the person that we're with, is kind of uncharted territory. But if you just keep your focus there, and if you just intend to do that, and intend that you're gonna be someone who is completely happy and completely present in all situations, and then when your lover is there, that adds a new dimension, but it also doesn't take away from the stuff that's there when your lover isn't there, then you're on the right track. And then you can open up these entirely new vistas of what a romantic relationship can bring, because everything else is moving up the notches to become more multidimensional. It only makes sense that romantic relationships would be doing the same thing. But it's also true that a lot of people's romantic relationships are crumbling right now, and that means that the area is being cleared for new things to come. So keep that in mind, especially those of you who are going through really difficult things in your relationships. They might be ending, they might not be ending, and everyone is unique. But especially when things are really difficult, know that it's probably the universe trying to set you up for something better. And also know that you can't just sit there and do nothing and expect someone else to come and solve it all for you. You have to solve it for yourself, and then someone can help you reach greater heights. But if you're waiting for someone else to solve what's wrong with you, it's not going to get solved, and you're just going to keep being miserable over and over. So that's a rough one. It's an intense one, and it's one that takes a lot of attention and focus and really hard work. Not much work is as hard as the work that love and twin flames bring. That's the really rough stuff. I mean, the only thing harder than that is parenting, and also the rewards match the difficulty. So if you can do it, then it's definitely worth it. But also forcing it is impossible. So my advice to you would be to just enjoy your life as much as possible, and not shut yourself down to the opportunity, but also recognize that whatever you are lacking, whatever you kind of know you need to work on, if you find a relationship before you've done that, it is going to amplify that need, and it's going to be a lot rougher. So it kind of makes bypassing a lot less likely to be desirable at that point. So anyway, that's it for today. Go in peace. I hope that came out okay. I felt a little jumbled as I was saying it, but hopefully you know what I meant. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you again soon.